apologize. And we're going to go ahead and get started here with gamifying your lessons. Okay, so you may have heard of the term gamification. It's an up and coming term. It is a big deal right now. We're looking for ways to get students motivated to try to learn. So, you know, this is kind of a big thing. And that's why I had the 80s music playing and the 80s trivia, because I am an 80s girl. Totally gnarly. But I think my love of gaming happened because I was an 80s child. We were the first kids on the block to get an Atari. I hope you all do remember Ataris, but we had the Pong, and we were mesmerized. And now today, our Gen Z kids are gamers. And I've worked with a lot of teachers recently who have been asking me questions, especially now, more than ever, especially now that we've been thrown into distance learning with COVID-19. And as I've mentioned in past webinars, I think it was the creation and collaboration one, that now is not necessarily the time to continue with traditional learning. We should be allowing students time to explore passion projects and inquiry learning and problem-based learning. There also comes the question of, how do I grade things? We talked about this in the formatives webinar. How do I grade things when there's the issue of digital equity, when assignments go to different homes, when we have students, you know, who are babysitters or don't have devices or things like that. So it's really important, I think, to look at new ways to assess. And gamification is really starting to take off. I mean, even if you just do a Google search, there's Mr. Matera, who has a YouTube channel, Mr. Matera's Classroom, and he's all about gaming. And John Meehan wrote a book this past summer all about gaming called, oh God, I always forget it. Edmentum, or I don't know why. It's such an easy name. Adrenaline Rush, that's it. Adrenaline Rush. That's the book I'm going to read next. It's like the guide to gaming. And if you got to follow John Meehan on Twitter, because he has been coming up with some of the greatest ideas during all of this. Okay, so let's get started here. If you are new to any of my sessions, to my webinars, this is me. I'm Google certified trainer, all of this other stuff. If you have any questions about that, I do want to point out, I am available to you during this time. I did take the weekend off. I shut everything down and took a mental health break, but I'm back. I've been fielding tweets. I've been fielding direct messages, texts, email messages, phone calls, whatever you need. I'm here for you. I live for this. I want to be useful. I want to help. So if you have any questions about digital do-overs, as you're navigating this, please reach out. I'm here for you. Okay, here's what we're going to cover today. I always call the first part of any of my webinars, workshops, or sessions the Eat Your Vegetables portion, because this is where we talk about the why we do what we do. I like to provide, someone said to me, before you can change hearts and minds, you need to explain the why, or the rationalization. So that we'll go through the Eat Your Vegetables portion. And then, because it's gamification, I've divided up into two modes. Easy play for things that are easy to get started, and then advanced mode are things that might take a little more time, but we have it right now. So if you've been interested in pursuing gamification in your classroom, I'm going to provide you with some resources that'll take a little bit more of a deep dig, but if you have time, use, like right now I'm doing a little bit of professional learning on my own, sort of my own passion projects, things that I've wanted to learn, like Goose Chase Edu, and I've Adobe Spark. So those are things that, and I'm trying to get better at Camtasia. So those are the things I'm pursuing during this time. So when we talk about gamification, there's a very specific definition for it. It is really the application of game design to anything. They do it at work. We do it on Candy Crush. You level up. If you have Waze, you get badges. We could think about all the badges you get for all of your social apps, and we love leveling up. So we've seen this application across the board, but not so much in education. It's slowly starting to take a foothold, but it's the idea of giving points, of setting students on quests, not web quests, but actual like scavenger hunts. It's competition with others. It's leaderboards. It's, assigning rules of play to our curriculum. And if you know anything about our students, they are gamers. Speaking of, I was talking about professional learning. You may have heard me mention this. Discord is it's a gaming platform, but it's a texting platform where all of these kids start connecting with each other. So for example, my own son, who's a college sophomore, said to me, Mom, if you want to reach kids today, you should, during distance learning, you should be using Discord. So Discord is actually, like I said, it's a gamer app, but it's for texting, and it's what kids are using to connect with each other. So I do know a few teachers on Twitter who are using Discord to connect with students in the gaming realm. Also, I saw this tweet on Friday, and it hit my heart so hard that right now especially, I mean, we deal with this all the time. If I don't give students a grade, they're not going to do anything. But especially now with distance learning, how can we assure that students are actually learning something? And Rachel from Twitter said, you know what? They want to learn, but if the grade is the only thing making them do the work, then we need to reconsider the work. And I did talk about that in my creation and collaboration webinar, more creative ways to get students doing work. But I think we need to rethink learning, that it shouldn't just be about the grade. It really should be about the work we do. Okay, and with that said, it was funny because then Corey Andreasen, I'm mispronouncing that name, but people mispronounce mine all the time. He responded to Rachel's tweet with this, that more often than not, grading interferes with learning. And so students, we've got the grade grubbers. I'll only do this if it's so many points, or especially at the end of the semester. Well, I've got this many points. I really don't need to study for the exam because I get this many points on the final and still pass. So I think that's where the idea of changing things up is the way to do it. This image I'm sharing with you is from a friend of mine who teaches in an inner city school. And I don't know if you can see it. Let me enlarge it a little bit. Here's what she's got going on right now with distance learning. A lot of students who aren't doing their work. She's putting it out the same way she always did. She took her lessons and she put them online, and they're sort of the same things that they've always done it. And as you can see, she doesn't have a real high success rate for work being turned in. And you might all be having this same issue too, that students aren't checking in, or they're not motivated, or they're not doing the work. And it's to be expected right now, because we've talked about the issues of, again, older students babysitting their siblings, not enough access to technology, not everybody being able to get on at the same time. But this is the time, I really feel the silver lining in all of this is an opportunity for us to get creative. And I think gamification allows us to do that. Actually, the first person who endorsed gamification, believe it or not, was Albert Einstein. I found this from an article in a blog post on Teach Thought, where he believed that games were an elevated form of investigation. Think about it. What did we used to do in preschool and kindergarten? It's about playing. Stacking bricks, seeing what falls, trying them again, playing at the water table. Our first attempt at learning was all about play. And then somehow along the way, we lost that. Okay, but that is a discussion for another time. I'm not going to sit here on my soapbox and proselytize and tell everybody what they need to do. This will be a process. The Education Arcade at MIT, yes, that is a real thing. And speaking of, yeah, by the way, you don't think gaming is a big thing? Ohio State University in the last 2 years now added an esports major, and they are building an esports arena in Columbus. My younger son, who's heading to Miami, is looking at a gaming major as well. So it is a thing. And as you can see, the Education Arcade at MIT said that after doing this study that, yeah, this is what game players do. This is why gaming isn't such a bad thing. Look at your own kids. They're persistent at it. They keep trying. And they talk to each other online or on YouTube, and they watch other gamers on YouTube and try to figure out how to keep doing it better. So how do we take that and necessarily apply that to school? 80%, there was the part of the study done was that 80% of gamers redo quests and challenges. Now, we give our students opportunities to redo quizzes, and they do it for a grade, but they don't do it because they love it. They don't really learn anything from it. They're like compliance. Okay, I want to get a good grade, so I'll do what the teacher tells me to do. How can we make learning more fun? How can we offer those unlimited opportunities for success? And I think about that's what learning should look like. Well, you know what? You lose a life. Sorry, I skipped ahead here. You lose a life, kids try again. They make it the next level, almost. Oh, they keep trying. It's chances and replays. And to me, that's what learning should look like. Like I said, this has been a little bit of a passion of mine over the last 3 years. I've been collecting some ebooks about it. I've been following people on Twitter. And now I think this is the time I really need to get my act together and put my money where my mouth is and really start designing a gamified curriculum myself. So with that said, this is another friend of mine on Twitter. Mandy is a teacher extraordinaire in Missouri. I love her. I follow her on Twitter. She said that she skipped a few classes in college just to beat Zelda. Remember, I loved Zelda. Oh my God, put in the chat if you were a Zelda fan. I loved Zelda. But she would skip class to beat Zelda. And Mandy's a math teacher, and she says, imagine if we could make algebra like that, where kids are going to skip it. I want to share this little image. This nugget is a fourth grader who I was working with a fourth grade class. This is from 2 years ago. And this is a student playing quizzes and learning about contractions. I promise you. So the teacher decided to take boring content, loaded it up on quizzes, and this little nugget, I got to show you the video. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen. So hold on, let me click on it. Here he comes. So this is a Monday morning. Look at this dude. I love that. He's learning about contractions and he's doing the little happy learning dance. Probably because he was at the top of the leaderboard. And I cannot get enough of this kid. And to me, that image bespoke the idea of what gamifying learning can do for our students. So, okay, enough of the eat your vegetables portion. We're going to move on to the next one. We're going to take a look at some gamify. We can look at some ways to gamify your lessons that are pretty easy to do that you could be up and running with this week. Now again, I'm going to say this again. This is my thing. I know a lot of tools out there, but I'm only going to recommend the ed tech tools that will get you up and running in under 30 minutes and that don't require a whole host of manuals to get started. So far, any questions? Would anyone like to unmute and ask a question? Okay. All righty. Let's go ahead and talk about some ways to do the easy mode. Level 1. Here we go. Leveling up. All right. The easiest way, the very easiest way to gamify your classroom is what's called grading backward. So we always kind of start at 100 and then kids lose points. We always start the semester at 100. Why not start the semester at 0 and let kids earn points? Take your I can statements or your lesson objectives and make those levels. Simply say, hey kids, here's level 1. I can make contractions. Can you? Okay, give them an activity and give them points. So you'll earn so many points for doing this. Now I know it sounds a lot like grading, but for some reason, if you add the word leveling up or experience points, kids are gonna be like, ooh, okay. And it becomes a little more competitive. Add a leaderboard. I mean, I'm sure all of you have tried Kahoot your classroom. You add a leaderboard to something, the kids start taking it very seriously. So that's the simplest way to start. Another way to do this is what's called a flip hunt. And again, I saw this last week on Twitter from one of my favorites that I follow. This is, so I'm going off our notes right now. Mari Venturino came up with this idea. It's called a flip hunt. Let me connect you to that. I'll make this bigger for you. So she came up with this a couple of days ago. She teaches science, and it looks a lot like a web quest, sort of, but what was the point of a web quest? Kids look stuff up and then they wrote it down on a sheet. This one, she puts them in teams, and then the kids have to record video on Flipgrid for each challenge. And then the team, and so you can see here, she's assigned stars. Easy tasks have 1 star. Harder tasks, medium tasks have 2. The more challenging ones have 3. And she's been very creative. What I love about this, when we did our creation and collaboration webinar, I showed you the concept of a choice board. And some teachers, with the choice board, the tic-tac-toe board, teachers always say to me, oh, that's great, but how am I going to grade that? I got to come up with a rubric for every square. I was just thinking, you know what? Mari's put the idea on the kids. She's put the onus here on the kids. I'll give you points. That's it. I'm not going to give a rubric for each assignment. It's points based. And you're doing the learning on your own. You're chasing learning. So using Flipgrid and a scavenger hunt, Mary made a flip hunt, which I think is a super easy way to take stuff that you already have, and instead of you delivering the content, let them chase it themselves. Speaking of the choice board, so once I saw Mary's thing last week, I took that original choice board that I made and I shared with you in the creation and collaboration webinar. And I took Mary's idea and made it a 4 points choice menu. So if you remember in the earlier version, kids had to they had to do the center square, that was the non-negotiable, and then horizontally, diagonally, or vertically, they would choose 2 other squares to do a tic-tac-toe. I took Mary's, I wish I knew her name. I don't know, I should just tweet her and say, hey, I'm an idiot who's mispronouncing your name. But I took Mari's idea, and instead of doing tic-tac-toe, I just added stars for points. So the kids could choose, as I put here at the top, start with number 5 and then make 2 other choices. And once everyone completes their activities, I'll add up the points and announce the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place winners. And then I was thinking I would create badges for them, which is another gamification element that I'm going to discuss in just a bit. So yeah, so I kind of took Mary's idea and took my choice board and added points to it. So it gives the kids truly a little more choice, and it gamifies it just a bit. Also, if you're considering points, Tom Driscoll on Twitter came up with this idea, and I took a screenshot of it, experience points. If you say to your kids, we're going to give you experience points, they like that idea. He teaches social studies, and he wrote an ebook on gamification. It was the first book I read. So he has this book, and what he does on it is, here are the experience points. Level 1 was all of these things, and the kids had to have a minimum of experience points to advance to the next level. So your level could be Monday, I don't care, your level, and level 2 could be Tuesday, and level 3, whatever. But instead of giving them days, do you sort of say you're just renaming things and making it levels? And then he gave the kids activities, and you'll notice one's a screencast, one is a simple, it's a no-tech vocabulary foldable form, but he assigned experience points to it. And so then here's what the kids do, is they go back and they complete these things for points, and only when they complete these points and get the maximum experience points do they get to level up. So thought that was kind of simple in a way, not simple like useless, but simple simple genius, I guess is the way I want to say it. So yeah, I think that's the first and easiest way. If you are brand new to this, start with points. And start with some of these. I think the grading backward and the flip hunt are genius. I really do. I totally wish I could take credit for that. Another level 1 concept of gaming are what I call eboards, taking the game board and making it electronic. Actually, you know what? Hold on, let me pause right here. Did anyone have any questions about points from the first section about the experience points and the flip hunt? Anyone have a question? Okay. Yes? Okay. I'm going to go ahead. All right. Now, these are some other ideas I came up with. The idea of e-boards that kids, you give kids, and I'll show you examples, that you either give kids an electronic game board and they move ahead one square at a time, like Candyland. Um, there's also a low-tech, no-tech option game board that I found on Twitter through a friend of mine in Montana. And my Montana friend, speaking of, created this Connect 4 online learning board. So let me show you what those look like. Let's go back to the notes here. About 2 years ago, I was approached by an intermediate school, a guidance counselor at intermediate school, um, with their PBS. So they were having kids go, they wanted kids to do something more with in-school suspension or when they were referred for something. They wanted the kids to do something other than just sit with work. They wanted to learn from it. So I came up with this game board for that school, and it's a way for students. We talk about the red zone, and a lot of you are familiar with it. I came up with this personalized game board that kids could work through, and each square had an activity. This one was really about anger management because I had one teacher who was having a lot of kids with anger management issues. So we took the 8 statements, I can, and then I kind of came up with this board. You are free to look at it. Some of the links, however, may not work for you because, let's see, and this is, I had low tech, I had tech, low tech, and no tech options in this. Some of this stuff, yeah, like this, you'll be able to see an example of this and make a copy of it for yourself. That's fine. I just ask that you give credit. But like this was a sorting activity that I had created for the kids in Google Drawings, click and drag. So what you'll see, like I said, are links to things that I've already created. All I ask again is that you practice good netiquette or digital etiquette and give credit where credit is due. Yeah, so you can go ahead and look at that on your own, but the kids had to work through each square and it was gamified. So instead of me just putting a whole bunch of lists of things for this student to do, we put together the game board. And as you can see, I did, same down here, I was talking about netiquette. I borrowed this game board template from another person and or updated the content for myself. So you can take any learning task that you have. If you take a lesson plan and you have all of these steps within it, why not just turn it into a simple game board? This is a Google Doc. You can do it in a Google Doc, Google Slides, Google Drawings, whatever you choose. I found this on Twitter. This is a low-tech, no-tech choice board. So again, those of you whose students necessarily don't have access to all the technology, or if you want to give them a break, these were, I thought these was kind of, it was a game board. But what I liked about it is the kids got to choose a color from each. Now, what I would do is probably add points to each one of these items. The directions are all in the speaker notes. But yeah, I think that's how I would possibly do that and make it a little more gamified. But what I liked is I liked his ideas here. I liked how it was color coded or it was categorized by font, things that were images and sounds, things with stuff, things with words. You could easily adapt this idea from Dan and go ahead and gamify it yourself. So I thought that's something you want to go ahead and take a look at on your own, by all means. I was introduced to Dan by my friend in Montana on Twitter, Rachel Marker, who they live in Montana, so they were a little late in the game getting started with the distance learning. So in order to get students into it, Rachel created this Connect 4 online game, which is like sort of the tic-tac-toe choice board I just showed you. But this was like just kind of a warm-up to get kids started. You can certainly, if you go to File, make a copy, you could make a copy of this Connect 4 board for yourself and turn that into a game for your students as well. or go ahead and just borrow some of these ideas. I think this would be pretty good for all teachers, but especially elementary teachers who teach all, like, you know, I was a high school English teacher. I taught English, but a lot of you elementary teachers will teach social studies and math and English. So you might want to take your ideas and your lessons and put them here in a Connect 4 game board. So I thought I would share. So that's the idea of what we're talking about with eboards. So I will take a breath and another sip of coffee. Does anyone have any questions about eboards? Okay, forging ahead. Again, and a final level 1 way to gamify your classroom are simple online games. And these are the easiest. So Flippity is, what I like about Flippity, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. So flippity.net. Flippity started just with the idea of taking a Google Sheet and turning them into flashcards. That's how Flippity started. And now Flippity has taken that idea, and you can go ahead and create a quiz show. Or even this is, those of you who want to try an escape room, but aren't the digital escape rooms, but aren't quite there yet. Here's an easy scavenger hunt. They added an Easter one, as you can see. They also have a badge tracker, which I haven't used because I create my own badges. But we can talk more about, we're going to talk about badges, but I wanted you to see that this was here. So as you can see, Flippity, they'll show you a demo. They will give you instructions. So let's take a look here at the scavenger hunt with the locks. So you have to click on a lock to get started, and you ask a question, and you can put something here in the box, and you can also include a hint. Okay, and then you type it in, answer it, and the first lock has been unlocked. And then you continue to move on. So what's nice is whoops, I'm sorry about that. They show you the demo. They give you the instructions on how to do it. Now, I will tell you, Google Sheets are not my jam. I'm not super good at Google Sheets. However, they do give you a template, and they do give you directions here. So you have to follow the directions as they are, and they do have FAQs, and then they'll give you a template to go ahead and create your own. So you'll make a copy, you'll follow directions, and you'll use your template, and then you are good to go with your own Flippity. So that's super easy to use. That's a good place to start. A lot of you I know have used Kahoot. And Kahoot is fun, and they've been making some great updates over the last year. I went away from, I have to admit, I did go away from Kahoot for a while because I saw too many teachers just simply using it for review, and then actually overusing it to the point where the kids would walk into a class and go, oh, God, we're doing Kahoot again. So I kind of stepped away from it a little bit, but they have made a lot of updates for creating, sharing, things like that. But here's what I really love. Now, this is what I now use Kahoot for. I use Kahoot for front loading. I gamify learning by creating blind Kahoots. So think about this. Traditionally, when we want to give information to students, we deliver it in a lecture. What if we gamified it and did it here in a blind Kahoot? And Kahoot provides you a template on how to do it. So this blind Kahooting, they'll give you these templates right here. And in the cards for Kahoot, it tells you, replace this with an introductory question to prepare learners. So think about that as your hook. We always ask questions of our students before we start new learning. And then you actually ask them a question, something that they haven't learned. And because you're gamifying it, it becomes a competition. And the retention level increases. And then what happens is you're going to start asking, see this blind question again? This time it's no longer blind. And then you're going to get instant updates to see who learned something from that first time. So the blind Kahoot, I think, is genius. If you're looking for a new way to do learning, do it with a blind Kahoot. It'll make, again, I think you're going to get more engagement and buy-in from your students. Now, at the beginning, you all played my quizzes, my 80s quizzes. Actually, let me go in. I'm going to actually hang tight here. Okay, so here's my quizzes account. This was what I had created. You can go into quizzes like Kahoot. You can find something that's already been created. That's what I did with the 80s quiz. I found an 80s quiz. I modified it for my own needs. I put in images if I wanted to. In fact, let me show you something here with what I did. So you can add images to your quizzes. Let me go ahead and edit this. Because I wanted to show you, if you're a math teacher, I don't know if you knew this or not, but let me get rid of this image for a second. Actually, I'm going to duplicate it. Oops, okay. So I could get rid of this image if I wanted to, and I'm going to. Those of you who are math teachers, you can add math equations now. They do have math language in here. That was something that's new that's been added to, they have an equation editor. So if you wanted to add that, you certainly could. I think the best part about quizzes, and the thing that I love the most, and if you have a quizzes account, I do so love it. Are the memes. Kids love memes. Now, you can create your own memes. I didn't get a chance to finish this before today. Before I wanted to add my own memes to our quiz. But what you can see here is I've got, DeMichele says, you're the best, and we're living in a material world, and you're cooler than vanilla ice. So you can add your own memes to the games, which is another great way for students to see your face and see your goofy side and to get them engaged with you. And that's all you do with memes. You can also have students to create their own, which is super fun as well. And again, what I like about quizzes is it has the power-ups and it has the leveling up. And if you were playing, you could see, you could get a redemption question, you could, all of those things that make gamification fun for kids is why quizzes is becoming very popular among teachers and others. So as you can see, you can create a free account and you can get all of these great things in there created by other teachers. Yeah, quizzes is fun. I've been having a lot of fun playing with it and creating the memes as well. Another one, now I was going to do this, but I wasn't sure if it would appeal to Gen Xers and Boomers. And I'd say that with love, not in a mean way. GimKit. GimKit was created by a Gen Z kid. GimKit was created by a kid who said, this is how I want to learn in class. And so GimKit has become increasingly popular with students. It was created, like I said, created by a high school student. It was the game he wanted to play in class. Now, it looks like Kahoot, it looks like quizzes, but here's the difference. Students earn in-game cash by answer, and then they can use the cash to buy things, not only for themselves, power-ups, but they can buy things to knock out or cause harm in not a mean way, but to their other participants, to the other players. So they can, cause someone else who's at the top of the leaderboard to lose points. And then they can also reinvest their money to buy upgrades and power-ups and, things that suit their strength. So I think I guess the thing is, if you want to reach Gen Z, I think you got to look at stuff that was made by Gen Z. And that's why I love GimKit. But I will tell you, play with it yourself, because whenever I've introduced this, and again, I say it with love, I'm a Gen Xer, but when I introduce it to Gen Xers and Boomers, they get easily confused. So play with it on your own, get used to it, have fun. But yeah, it's super awesome. I do love it. So that's another new game that's out there. And if you, like I said, if you've had experience with Kahoot and experience with quizzes, GimKit will be something you can get up and running with. Okay. I don't know how many of you saw this last week. This just happened last week. If you have Quizlet, which are the online flashcards, and if you've ever played Quizlet Live, which is one of my favorite classroom games to play. But the point is, you can only do Quizlet Live when you're face-to-face. Not exactly. Last week, Quizlet Live made an update called #AloneTogether. And you can now play Quizlet Live with distance learning, doing individuals mode. So all you need to do is you find your favorite set and you can put it into individual modes. Now, unlike teams, it can't be, they're going to play as individuals and they won't necessarily collaborate and communicate, which is the bonus and beautiful, beautiful feature of Quizlet Live. But at least it's something they're probably already familiar with if you've been using it in the classroom. And I'm so happy being, as a Quizlet ambassador myself, that they came up with this, because it's such a great feature. So that was, let's see, they made that announcement, April 1st. That was not an April Fool's joke. They made that announcement last Wednesday. Okay, so we've gone through level 1. Any questions right now? Okay, let's go on to level 2. Now these are advanced modes. These are gamification things that maybe you'll want to start now and pursuing and learning a little bit at a time yourself. All right, the idea of badging. So at the beginning of this presentation, I showed you I'm a Google certified trainer. I have a badge for that. I'm a Screencastify certified genius. I'm a Quizlet ambassador. I have a badge for that. I'm a book creator ambassador. I have a badge for that. I have a lot of badges. I like badges. I was not a good Girl Scout. I got kicked out of brownies after my first year for being too bossy and chatty. Imagine that. So I never really got to collect my badges. So I love badges. I'm 52. So, if I like badges, our kids love them even more. So here's the idea. Take your learning objectives, like I said, your I can statements, make those levels. The kids get, and remember at the beginning we talked about experience points. You've managed to get all these experience points. Here are your badges. I will tell you a very brief story. This was oh my goodness, it was 5 years ago. I was working for a district, and a 5th grade teacher came to me. He was working with special needs students, and he said, nobody's motivated to do my homework. They never do homework. They hate it, and they don't do it. I'm like, okay, let's gamify it. All I did, I took Quizlet with the flashcards, and Quizlet also has all of those levels in it for like learning and matching, and I came up with all of these activities that the kids had to do in Quizlet, and then I made badges for them. So digital badges. So once a kid mastered a task, we got a badge. Then I created an online leaderboard where the kids could, on a website, where the kids could check in every day and see who had collected the most badges. And darn it, we had 85%. At the end of that unit, we had 85% of the kids completing all of their lessons. And it was just because all we did was make digital badges. And they are easy peasy to make. So in fact, here's what I've done for you. I've provided a template here for you to go ahead and copy. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to kind of just play around with it. You can make a copy. When you click this blue make a copy button, it will automatically be added to your Google Drive. So it's in there. And all this is a Google drawing. And let's see, file, I went to, let's see, page setup. It's 2 inches by 2 inches. All I did with this was add shapes. If I want, I'm going to right click. I can change the background color. This is a circle. This was just a circle that I inserted and then changed the border color and the weight of it and the design of it. You could just play around with shapes. I added my own Bitmoji here. So this is yours. You can make a copy of the template. It's there for you to use. Think of drawings. Drawings are posters. So unlike slides where you can create a slide deck, you can't do that in drawings. But all you got to do is once you make that badge is you go to File and Download as a PNG image, and you download it and you send it out to the kids once they've completed a task. It's really that easy. And you can play around with this as much as you want and name them and make copies of them. They're super fun, super easy to do. So that is here on the show notes where it says my template. I've also provided you with a tutorial, a YouTube tutorial here on how to make your own not a YouTube tutorial, sorry, this was a blog post. If you would like a little more detail on how to go ahead and do that, here's a step-by-step tutorial on making badges. So that's there for you. And it is as simple as what tasks do you want the kids to do? Come up with a catchy title for the badge. Let's see. Yeah, Google Sites Superstar, whatever. Being an English teacher, I'm a big fan of the alliteration, where you're taking the same sounds and repeating them. So that's there for you. My other favorite badge tool is Canva. If you're familiar with Canva, let me put it in here. Canva is the world's easiest graphic design site. I do all of my graphic design in Canva because they do a lot of things for you. They have a lot of templates that I just go ahead and borrow. So you can see I've got a ton of stuff in here, whether it's YouTube headers or thumbnails or badges or yeah. In fact, I made badges here for some online learning. Wait, let me go back. That I was doing, I had an online course and we had badges in it. But it's super easy. It's the easy, yeah, here it is. I used Canva to make badges for my HyperDocs class and Gmail Genius. So these are easy to make, and same thing, you just go ahead and download those. And I might have a faulty link here. Let me see, do I not? Oh, sorry, I do not. Canva is the one that has the YouTube tutorial.
So you've decided to give badges out.
So I have a YouTube tutorial if you'd like to learn how to make a badge using Canva. That's there for you. Let's see. Oh, I shared this with you before. This was a teacher in California. I saw this on Twitter where she put out the week's learning in a Google slide deck and asked the kids, you'll see here, she said, copy and paste your badges over the assignments once they're complete. So at the end of the slide deck, she had these badges that she had made, and the kids could, copy or cut it and paste it, whatever, and put it on top of each slide as they finished it. So that's another way to think about using badges in your teaching. I found this online. This is a way to make digital badge boards. So if your students want to show off a way, because again, we're giving these badges, but they like to display them. So here's an easy way with Google Docs that either you or students could go ahead and make, you could go ahead and make this and show off who's the leader in social studies right now for these specific tasks. And listen, this video is under 5 minutes. You can't beat it. You'll be up and running with that easy. So again, it's Google, easy to use. Now I've used this one by Alice Keeler before. This takes a little more time. So that's why I did put it into advanced mode. But what she has created here is a self-guided. So if you're pretty savvy with Google Sheets, you can borrow a template of hers where she's created this Google Sheet. And what you'll see is it's the formula thing. So that's where I get all confused. So the kids, she gives them a title, she gives a badge description, and then she has a link to it. So as the kids complete the task, it auto-populates. She's got all these crazy formulas, which I'm so bad at, but that's why she did it. So I'm glad for that. So what she does is she walks you through how to go ahead. This is going to take time, but if you're up for it, I've done it, and I'm an idiot with sheets. So, I have a lot of faith in everybody else. And then what it does is it displays their badges for them so the tasks are listed in sheets. As the kids, they put a little check mark, and then a badge immediately appears in their Google Sheet. All right, and we are almost coming here to the end. So next to badges, if you have a little more time, you're going to want to consider quests. There are different kinds of quests. There's scavenger hunts. There's digital escape rooms, we take those escape rooms that are super popular right now, we put them online. And then there's similar to digital escape rooms, which are called breakouts. These items that I'm about to show you under the quest section are going to take some time on your part, and that's why they're on level 2. So depending where you fall, if you're a newbie to gamifying, stick with level 1. If you're feeling a little more comfortable, go to level 2. Laura Steinbrink is a teacher in Missouri, and she uses Wakelet. Wakelet is it's a newish tool in the last couple of years. It allows you to curate content. So you don't have to create a website. It just allows you to bring content together. And what she did, kids in her English 2 class had to read the book. What was the book name? The Forest of Hands and Teeth. And what she did was she gave them a scavenger hunt assessment. They had to work as a team to complete one activity from each task related to the book. And then she had a place for the kids to drop in their required activities to win the scavenger hunt. So here's a model that you can follow. Wakelet, I will tell you, is a super easy tool to use. It's great for curation and putting things together. And again, another tool you'll be up and running with in under 30 minutes. It's great to use. So Laura has that activity. This is something I'm learning right now, so I can't really give you a full detailed tutorial on it, but I did put together, they have everything on their site. Goose Chase EDU is a scavenger hunt website. I'm sure you've heard of it, and I'm going to look at the chat section later. I hope some of you have used it. Oh, internet, do not be a pain right now. Oh, here we go. So it's the easiest way to organize and run a scavenger hunt. So you can try it out, or if you're not ready to, you can learn more. They have different mix and match mission types. You can use photo and videos, text, creative check-ins. You could click here to look at how other schools are using it, other schools and teachers. So feel free to go ahead and check that out. Like I said, this is something I'm working through learning myself. So as I learn it, I'm happy to share my learning with everybody, but give it a try yourself. I've heard great things about it. This is my new dude, John Meehan. John Meehan's on Twitter. He wrote the book Adrenaline Rush. He made this, if you want to just give it a try, he made it through Google Forms. It's a scavenger hunt, and it's called Bring the Fight Back to the Pandemic. Now, here's the beauty of it. He made this at the hidden end of this twisting maze. You'll get a discovery mask, blah, 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 blah. What's nice in this is for teachers. So don't push this out to your students yet. Complete this yourself, because he has an Easter egg hidden in the Google form, and the Easter egg is a copy of this Google form that you can push out to your students as well. So it's kind of clever. He gets you into it, you play it, and then you get a copy of the Google form yourself. I just thought it's nice to take a look at and play with, because you could, if you're good with Google Forms, you can create your own scavenger hunt using Google Forms. Let's see what else. If you are interested in doing a digital escape room, I found a great how-to for you to do here through Ditch That Textbook. There's a great step-by-step guide in here. So there's good ideas, but this step, Mandy and Carly are Ditch Book ambassadors, fellow Ditch Book ambassadors, as am I. And they've created their own step-by-step digital escape room for you. So you can give it a try yourself. So go ahead and read that post. And she's got some good templates to fill out and get started. I know I've got 2 minutes left. I'm running through this, sorry. There are, now Breakout EDU is not necessarily free. It's, if you've seen it or you've seen your colleagues using it, you have to buy the tools and the locks and the toolbox, but they do have free these are some free activities that you might want to look through. Again, you have to break out of something given clues. So feel free to take a look at this. Those are some free ideas. And Tom Mullaney, I love this guy. If you're interested in doing a digital breakout template, he has created this website with an embedded YouTube tutorial in it for you to help walk you through. He likes to use Google Sites to create his digital breakouts. And he goes here and tells you how to do it, has the tutorial. His whole website is an example and a tutorial on how you can do that. So again, these are things that are going to require a little more time. Speaking of time, I've got like 30 seconds. If you have to bail because you got something else, it's okay. This is going to be recorded and I will have it there, and I'm almost done anyway. So yeah, those are some toughies, but those are for if you have a little more time. Questions so far? Okay, so as usual, here's my good advice. Pick one thing. I always throw a lot at you and I feel terrible about it, but hopefully I've curated good stuff for you. One thing today. You're going to be tempted to be like, oh my God, my head exploded. I want to try everything. One thing, people. One thing. Just try one thing and learn it and get good at it. Because, and by that I mean baby steps. Take baby steps. Just get to explore one feature. A lot of these apps have multiple features in them. Explore one, get good at it, move on to the next thing. Play. It's gamification. We play by learning. Remember kindergarten? Remember preschool? We play by learning. So play around with these things. I've given you a lot to play with. Make a badge today. Honestly, if you get a chance, make a badge. It'll be super easy. Throw one badge out to your students just for getting through how many weeks of distance learning. Why don't you hook them right now? And speaking of your students, be a superhero, but be a vulnerable superhero to your students. Tony Stark was Iron Man and was invincible until the end when he wasn't and needed his team. So involve your students in this. If you don't, it's okay not to know every aspect of something. It's okay to ask your students to help you figure it out. They're gamers. I will bet you. Oh, involve them in the process. We don't have to come up with all the ideas. I bet they will have great ideas based on the games that they're already playing. So ask them for help. Involve them in the process. I'm going to hang on here for those of you who are still here if you have any questions and answers. But again, all of my contact information is here on the sheet, on our show notes right here at the top. My Twitter account, my web email, my website, YouTube channel. Here's one final thing I want to talk to you about. I've given you some good stuff here at the end. My buddy Raina, who lives she's another Ditch Book ambassador. She lives in Boston. Last week, she started digital badging. They just started distance learning, and she started digital badging with her students. So I just dropped this in today because she created over the weekend. She's created a Google slide thing that she pushed out to her students explaining how digital badge works. So all you need to do is file, make a copy, and you can customize it by yourself, but please give Raina somewhere, and if you do use this, give her credit, please. You can get my quick start guide to distance learning. You can click here to get your PD certificate for today. Here's the big thing, and thank you for hanging in this long. So this has been an experience and a journey for me. This is my 5th and final webinar for distance learning. It has been a learning experience for me. The feedback I have received has been phenomenal. It's been heartwarming. It has brought tears to my eyes, some of the emails and phone calls that I've received. So God bless you all, and thank you so much. I'm not quitting on you. I'm still going to be here. We don't know how long this is going to last. And I commend you for your bravery and your heart and your grit and your dedication and your perseverance. So I will be here for you. So based on that, I created a Google form. I'm interested in making this smaller. I'm interested in how I can reach out to you in the upcoming weeks and months. So with that said, I need your opinion. I've got a Google form here about, and I want to hear your feedback. I want to create what's called bite-sized PD. Remember those little Milky Ways you steal from your kids' Halloween bags? I want to create that for you, but I need your assistance in doing that. So please take some time to fill out this form. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will be in touch with you. But I'm here for you. If you ever need me, you really, the only way you cannot get a hold of me is like through smoke signals or carrier pigeon. But I'm here for you. So please reach out and continue to reach out. I am here for you. Questions about gamification or anything else? Bueller? Thanks. All right. Well, I cannot thank you. Oh, yes, Diggy. Hi, how are you?
Hi. The certificate of the other webinars as well, you please go to the email that you sent us before and just log in.
So, no, if you wanted to get certificates, so each one of these, if you've attended, you'll have one of these like show notes. So you'll want to go ahead and you'll find the link to that at the bottom. Now, I do think we have turned off I think we've turned off the first 3.
Okay.
And those will come back on. We're trying to figure out how to be in compliance with school districts in terms of that. So because honestly, and I hate to be this person, some people were already asking for certificates for webinars that I hadn't even recorded yet. I know, right? So anyway, we're trying to figure that out. So anyway, here's today's, which you can get. It's at the bottom of the sheet, and it's also here at the bottom. The other one where I just asked for your feedback is there as well.
But that's through my email, right? Not on this webinar.
What do you mean?
Do I click on this paper right now?
Yes. So you could click on it, yeah, and see where it says get your PD certificate. You just click that link, and that'll take you to the Google form.
Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I'm just thinking this is part of the webinar, not my Google
Yeah.
Doc.
So what you'll need to do to access this Google Doc, you need to open a new tab and type that in the address and type that URL into your address bar.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, again,
right,
I appreciate
if I have a question, I'll email you then.
Okay, that's fine. I'm here. All right.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Stay safe.
Oh, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, no, thank you. You've given me purpose these last 3 weeks. I'm here. I don't want to sit here feeling helpless. So thank all of you for giving me purpose. I'm here for you. Please take care of yourself. The sun is shining. Get out today before it starts raining. So anyway, hope to see you all soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day.